Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome City of Caterpillar guitarist Jeff Kane to the podcast. City of Caterpillar's first new record in 20 years, Mystic Sisters, is out today on Relapse Records. Jeff talks about the band's origins, trying to move in a new direction that led to the band's breakup, his musical career post City of Caterpillar, how the reunion got going, connecting with Relapse, and more. I'm a huge City of Caterpillar fan, and I was so stoked when the opportunity arose to have Jeff on the podcast. So I hope you enjoyed today's chat with Jeff Kane from City of Caterpillar. How's life in Richmond?
It's good. We've had a couple days now of like not 100-degree weather, so
Right.
usually it's blazing hot, but today's like nice and cool, and it was a nice weekend.
Yeah. I'm just north of DC in Montgomery County, Maryland. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, same weather here. It's like mid 70s, and I was like, oh, I'll wear jeans and a hoodie today.
Where in Montgomery County are you? Like Rockville or something?
Yeah, Rockville. Yeah.
I grew up in Loudoun County, Northern Virginia.
Oh, nice. Yep, it's a small world. I was talking to Casey from Iodine, and he lives in Alexandria.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. We should hang out sometime. So funny. I'm stoked to talk to you. The new single is awesome. It's short.
Yeah.
Short with 4 minutes is short. For you guys, it's short.
For us, that's short.
Yeah.
If the next single is like way longer. The next single is what we wanted to be the first single, but Relapse was like, no, that song is way too long. First single.
Yeah. They gotta do what they gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome. So you grew up in Loudoun County. What was growing up like for you?
Pretty normal suburban upbringing. I grew up, the suburbs of DC. It's kind of the outskirts where I lived. I lived in a place called Sterling Park, Virginia, which is a pretty small little bedroom community for Washington DC. But finally by high school, met some like-minded people and started bands out there.
Yeah. Sterling wasn't the hotbed of suburban Virginia that it is now. It's like,
no, back then it was like the sticks.
Right. It's like what counts as DC keeps getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
It's wild. What got you into music?
I don't know. My brother was into music earlier than I was. I have a twin brother named Eric who he started getting really into playing drums and stuff probably he was 9 or 10, and I didn't really care about music at that point, but around middle school I started getting into it, started going to the big alternative rock shows of the time, the Lollapalooza festivals and the WHF festivals that were going on, and I think it was probably when I was 11 is when I really caught the bug. But I think it was just going to see shows, and it was just exciting, and I got into it and started playing in bands with my brother to start off with, and then found some other guys who were into stuff once we got into high school.
Yeah, being so close to DC, where you tapped into that scene and Discord and Fugazi and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the first punk rock kind of shows I went to were definitely Fugazi shows. I think like Fort Reno free shows in the summertime.
Oh yeah.
We would go to every year, like starting in like, I don't know. I probably saw every one of them from like 1993 till they stopped playing. But yeah, Fugazi was a big deal for sure.
That's awesome. What took you down to Richmond College?
Yeah, and like I did come here for college, but I only lasted like a semester and a half before I dropped out just to like tour and be in bands. But
Yeah.
At the same time that I came down here for school, like it seemed like the majority of our friends were headed down here, not necessarily for school. It was just like there was a lot of it was a big draw back in like the late 90s because there was like a lot of bands, a lot of places to play, and it was like cheap to live. So like it just seemed like all of our friends were kind of headed down here from Northern Virginia at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Richmond, like I grew up in Gaithersburg. So it was like we'd go up to Gettysburg for shows and then all the way down to Richmond for shows.
Yeah.
That was our North and South poles.
Yeah, I mean, and it seemed like at that time, at least, like Richmond was getting a lot more shows, or a lot in the like kind of stuff that I was into. Like, there's a lot more shows happening a lot more often than in DC. Like, DC didn't have like the house show kind of scene that Richmond did, where you could, walk into a basement and see like His Hero Is Gone playing, or all kinds of great bands would just be playing house shows in Richmond.
Yeah. Yeah. How did City of Caterpillar get started?
Well, there's a band before City of Caterpillar that was called Monotonous Fuck that Brandon and Ryan were in with a couple other guys, and their guitar player left, so they asked me to join Monotonous Fuck because they had a tour set up with Planes Mistaken for Stars. Mm-hmm. This was probably like early 1999 or late 1998. Can't really remember exactly, but so they had this tour set up. They wanted to go on it, so I started learning all their songs and practicing with them. Then their bass player also quit, and they're like, "Well, I guess we can't call it Monotonous Fuck anymore, but we still want to do this tour." So we got a new name. It wrote like 7 or 8 songs. It recorded a demo like within the span of 2 weeks, maybe, just so we could go on this Planes Mistaken for Stars tour. And we pulled it off, went on the tour, and kept going.
That's cool. That's awesome. Where'd the name of the band come from?
I'm not sure who came up with it originally, but it was the name City of Caterpillar was Monotonous Fuck's email address. It was like City of Caterpillar at google.com or whatever was the Monotonous Fuck email address at the time. Okay. It's like, we already have an email address, so let's just use that name.
That's awesome. Where'd that sound come from for you guys? What was influencing that kind of, I don't know, emo core, like screamo, like blend, like?
I don't know. We were really into some of the Discord stuff, and also like the Gravity Records, San Diego kind of stuff, like Antioch Arrow, Heroin. That stuff was like pretty big influence on the early City of Caterpillar stuff. But then once we so yeah, we were into like the chaotic, screamy emo kind of stuff that was happening in the mid 90s. But then once we heard Godspeed You Black Emperor, we were like, oh, this changes everything. So, and we were like, we want to do that, but we're not really good musicians. So like we started trying to pull that like instrumental, longer songs with big arcs of loud and quiet, like tried to pull that influence into the chaotic kind of emo stuff we were doing. Yeah.
Were you aware of like other bands in that scene kind of doing that, like Envy in Japan, or I don't know if like
Not when we first started. We didn't become aware of Envy. It was probably, I don't think we became aware of them till like our record, like full length record came out, and like Tetsu contacted us somehow, and he wanted to release it in Japan. We didn't really know anything about them till like we started talking with them about having them do our record over there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we didn't know about that stuff that was going on, really. Like we were friends with, it's like some of the like the level playing guys. Mm-hmm. I don't think much of that like Godspeed influence had really crept in too much in America yet.
Yeah, like Seiya and Jerome's Dreams, who are often like cited as like counterparts or contemporaries to you guys, were definitely more just like the emotional screamo side of it.
Right.
Yeah, without the post rock, which really sets you guys apart in that scene. And it was like, what's like Hope's Fall kind of had something similar, but it was more spacey and more hardcore based.
Yeah.
That's cool. What led you guys to Level Plane?
I don't know. They were putting out cool stuff at the time. We liked a lot of the bands they were putting out, and they didn't actually want to work with us for a while, but they wanted to work with Page 99. So we convinced Page 99 and Level Plane, like we're like, you got to like let us do a split with Page 99 and put it on Level Plane. And that like, so somehow we engineered our way into Level Plane by like forcing our way onto a split with Page 99.
Yeah.
But like we had shared members, so it was pretty easy to pull it off.
Yeah. What led to the band disbanding originally?
Ryan left the band like I don't know, maybe shortly after we finished our full-length record, and Pat Broderick from Majority Rule started playing with us after that. And when we started trying to write more music after Ryan had left the band, it wasn't as easy. It wasn't coming as easy, and like we were trying to go in like more melodic, maybe more indie rock directions, and we couldn't figure out how to pull it off. And I think I'm probably the one who got frustrated and was like, "Fuck this! I quit." Because I didn't have much patience at the time. Like if we spent a few months or years like working things out, I'm sure we could have come up with some really good stuff. But at the time, I was super impatient. Just wanted to be like churning out records, going on tour. So I probably left thinking I could be more productive elsewhere. But in retrospect, it was a little short-sighted.
Yeah. What was leading you guys to kind of go in a different direction musically? Was it just like...
It was just what we were like, what we were listening to, what we were into. I think, at a certain point, like with the screamy hardcore stuff, you're like, this is cool, but can we sound like these other bands that are cool? That I don't know. We got really into like Pinback and 3 Mile Pilot and Blonde Redhead and stuff like that, and we're like, kind of wanted to see if we could be a little more musical.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, like there was plenty of musical going on with us. It was just like, when you're young, you want to kind of like chasing the whatever's cool. Malady, yeah. Me and Kevin, who's also in City Caterpillar, started Malady with a couple of the Page 99 guys, Chris and Johnny, and our friend Jonathan. So Page 99 and City Caterpillar kind of split up kind of close together. So we all found ourselves with plenty of free time. And yeah, we got the Malady record just like I wanted. We got it written and recorded really, really fast, and went on tour and broke up very quickly after. But yeah, the Malady stuff was, I mean, it was super fun. We got to bring Envy over for their first US tour. We did a tour with them. And yeah, it was fast, but fun.
Yeah. And then were you in Versa and Coma?
Yeah, that was me and Kevin and Jonathan from Malady. And Ryan, who's in City of Caterpillar, played drums on that record. But that never was really a real band. Like, it was more of a recording project. Like, I don't, still to this day, I don't know that all of us that played on that record have ever been in the same room at the same time.
Oh, really?
That was like, we wrote, me and Jonathan and Kevin wrote a bunch of songs, and like had Ryan play the drums, and found a guy named Brian. He was living out in like Seattle at the time, but he was from Virginia originally. But we were sent him some demos, like, can you sing on this? Because he was like one of the only guys that we knew who could like actually like sing.
Yeah.
So we're like, we want to try this record and like have somebody actually sing. So like he sent us a demo back that was great, and he came out, and I think he spent 2 days with us, recorded the vocals, and that was it. Never played a show, never even hung out together.
Man, did you do anything after that?
I played in Haram for a little while. That was like a Majority Rule guys started that band after Majority Rule broke up. I played with them for maybe a year. I didn't play on any records. I toured with them a lot though. And after that, I had kids and started working a lot. Didn't really play in bands again till pretty recently.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you noticed like a groundswell or a continued interest in City of Caterpillar and that record and that scene?
I don't think we noticed any interest or anything really until in like 2016 when the reissue came out on Repeater Records. We like I was totally like not clued in that like anybody cared about us at all, so I didn't know that even we'd be able to sell 1,000 reissues. But like when we did the reissue, like it sold really fast, and like we're getting, you know, good press in places that I was surprised by. Like Vice did like Noisy did like this really nice article on us, and it's like, oh, people actually care about this. And then yeah, shortly after that, we decided to play some shows, and that's when it really became like clear, like, oh, people were really into this.
Yeah. And in that time, since you broke up, the whole like music industry changed and everything went online, and it became easier to find you. It's not people going through liner notes being like, oh, Sashia like this band, so we should listen to this band. It was just like, now it's on the playlist, and oh, I like that song. Right. Much easier to find.
Yeah.
How'd the reissue with Repeater come about?
We knew Seth because we'd played with Funeral Diner a couple times, and so Seth and his friend Chris started Repeater Records, and they just emailed us out of the blue. We're just like, we want to reissue this. It hasn't been available in a long time. It was like, yeah, okay. That was pretty much all there was to it. But yeah, they've been great to work with. They've repressed it a couple times now, and they're doing a special 20th anniversary version of it that should be out before the end of the year, I think. And it's got some different artwork and layout stuff going on, but same record.
That's awesome. That's rad. After you guys did the touring, you did tours Europe and Japan 17, 18. I mean, did you guys know you were going to come back and write new music, or was it just like, well, that was a fun thing to do?
We started talking about it pretty much. I mean, pretty soon after we started playing shows, we started talking about the possibility of writing some new stuff. But at that time, I was living in Ohio. Brandon was still living in New York, and Kevin and Ryan were in Virginia. But so we talked about it, but it was really hard to get anything done, just sending emails of demos and stuff back and forth. So it wasn't until I moved back to Virginia that things really started getting moving. And then Brandon moved back to Virginia a couple years after I did, and then things started happening very fast. But until we got closer in geographical proximity, nothing was really happening. But we talked about it, and we it was clear that there was still some like musical chemistry there that felt good, and we liked hanging out. Thought we could do some more stuff that would be worthwhile.
Nice. How did you guys move back in the midst of the pandemic, or were you already back and then lockdowns happened?
I moved back. It was probably a year and a half before the pandemic. Brandon moved like in the pandemic. He was living in Brooklyn, and like work was shut down. Like he couldn't do anything. So I think the pandemic was kind of the motivator for him to get out of New York. But I'd been here for a year or two.
Gotcha. How'd you guys end up working with Relapse?
Well, Ryan has a couple bands that had been on Relapse previously. He was in Iron Reagan, who did some stuff with Relapse, and his band Terminal Bliss did an EP with Relapse recently. So like he knew people there and who to send a demo to see if they were into it. And so we sent off some demos, and they were very enthusiastic about it. So off we went from there.
What were you guys drawing upon lyrically or musically that was inspiring you? Is it just trying to catch that lightning in a bottle of the first sound, or were you trying to do something different and unique this time?
I think we were definitely trying to do something different and unique. I don't know exactly if there's anything specific we were aiming for or pulling from, but we definitely didn't want to just like dig into the old stuff and be like, okay, what was the formula here? What worked? And and replicate it. We're definitely trying to cover some new guys. Sorry, my dog's being really sorry. She's one of these dogs who she weighs like 4 pounds, but she thinks she's like a really vicious monster.
Where'd the name of the record come from?
It's the name of one of the songs on the record. That's pretty much it. And I don't write any of the lyrics or do any of that kind of stuff, so I can't really speak to like what it means or anything. But it's a name of a song on the record. It'll be the next single that comes out.
Well, the record comes out September 30th. You guys are doing a small run of tour dates right around the record release here in DC, Richmond, Philly, Brooklyn, and then kind your way down and back from Fest. What's any future plans outside of that, or just like excited to get this new music out here and play a few shows?
There's another short tour that's in the works for before the end of the year, but it's nothing too major. I think that one's like 8 or 9 shows. So beyond that, we don't have much planned. We've been like it's booking shows and stuff is kind of tough right now. It's a crazy situation. Like every band in the world is trying to make up for the last couple of years, and
Right.
so it's been a little bit challenging getting like the touring side of things figured out, and like we don't have a booking agent, so it's like all on our own, and it's been a challenge. So hopefully like, things will like level out over the next year, and we can figure out how to do some more stuff. But for now, it's just a couple of those short little tours around the record release.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.